likewise. Just come up and ask Lauren Sutherland. She's always at the front there. Just ask her where the business club is, and she will show you the office. Because we normally, when you go in, she will tell you. But when you go in, it's normally in the boat room.
Yes,
Yes.
just onto the
Yes.
left.
So,
Okay.
and then just come in, pop in for 5 minutes, because they're wasting time waiting for the bus for half an hour.
Yes.
Right? That 5 minutes
Well, I
you can just
drive,
pop.
so
Oh, yeah, right.
and I don't start till one, so I can
Exactly.
pop on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just pop up. You don't have to be. People think, and I try to encourage people. Don't think that you have to be there all the time. It's just bring in an input. And if you can't be there, you just and you like for example, this meeting we talk about this, and you have a suggestion. You can send it via email. You don't have to be there physically.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So what makes you are you returning to school? Is this a second career?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's fine. I started in January, I think that's correct.
Yeah.
I finished in April. I used
Um,
to take
I,
children.
I did an upgrade first, and then I did sociology, my elective,
Yes.
January to
Yes.
April, and then I said, you know what, let me just take a break and be on fire with the
And
kids.
what were you what type of work were you doing?
Previously, PSW, I don't know,
Oh,
got in an accident.
okay.
Yeah. At
Not
first,
tough. It's just like tough on the body physically.
yeah, at
Yeah.
first, I didn't, this kind of job. But then when you get into it, you see it different than just a job. You see that there are people, they're alive. There's your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. You know, there are people who really hunger for somebody apart, looking for something different than the job than you pay. You understand? There's
Yeah.
something, but unfortunately, I couldn't do that.
And no, I worked as a dental assistant for 20 years, so it was the same type of thing. You sit in the chair, you feel the anxiety, you hear the anxiety. I hate. And you become this social worker, this friend, this
Yeah,
confidant,
yeah, so
this
different. Yeah.
everything. So yes, it was when I turned 40 last year. I decided, go home, do something else.
Hey,
I
hey,
know.
hey.
But I'm enjoying it.
Excellent. Very good. I kept it up. Yeah. Yeah. And you
Those
took
guys
care
will
of
kill
it.
me.
It was good. How much money? There was quite a bit of money raised. Yeah. Terrific. Yeah. Way to go.
Yeah, they
Way to
know
go.
that I'm
That's
here.
terrific.
Yeah, because we pick them up,
No, it was a good
all of
month.
them.
They know you're
We
here.
pick them up and
Nice
bring them
extra
here. But I
motivation.
forgot. It's the email I got this morning saying
No, that's right. Yeah. Oh well. Well, good morning and welcome to Sheridan's commemoration of the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. I'm Jeff Sabudsky and I'm the president of Sheridan. As we gather here today, we'd like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation. We at Sheridan College humbly acknowledge those who have come before us, those amongst us, and those who have yet to come. Whether you are here in our lobby or watching this ceremony being live streamed from another campus, I'd like to start off by thanking you for giving up 20 minutes of your time today to mark this solemn and important occasion. Gender-based violence has no place at Sheridan or anywhere in our society. As president of a growing community of 20,000 students and 2,500 employees, it's an issue that concerns me deeply. And as a husband and a father of 3 girls, it's also an issue that I care about personally. Today, as we gather to remember 14 young women who were murdered in 1989 at École Polytechnique de Montréal simply because of their gender. And while 26 years have passed since this senseless tragedy shook our nation, women continue to become victims of violence each year, despite increased education, information, and awareness. In Canada today, more than 1 in 10 women say that they have been stalked by someone and that they've feared for their life. Half of all women in Canada have experienced at least one incident of physical or sexual violence since the age of 16. And rates of violence increase among women with a disability, Aboriginal women, and newcomers and immigrant women in Canada. These women are our neighbors, co-workers, classmates, family, and friends. And they are entitled to dignity and safety. And we gather here today to think about all the women who live daily with the threat of violence or who have died as a result of deliberate acts of violence. At this point, we'd like to pay special tribute to the 14 students who were murdered in Montreal because they were women. As I read out the names of the victims of the tragedy on December 6, 1989, I invite our representatives to lay a white rose next to each of the photos. For those of you watching this event at the central viewing locations at our other campuses, please participate along with us. There is a coordinator at each campus who will hand out the roses. I'll now read the names. Geneviève Bergeron. Hélène Colgan. Nathalie Croteau. Barbara Daigneault. Anne-Marie Edward. Maud Havernick. Maryse Lagagnère. Maryse Leclerc. Anne-Marie LeMay. Sonia Pelletier. Michel Richard. Annie Saint-Arnaud. Annie Turcotte. Barbara Kluchnik-Vidayevich. Please join me in a moment of silence to remember these women whose lives were tragically cut short. These tributes will stay in place for the remainder of the day. But please know that any time of the year, we all have the opportunity to pause and reflect. A permanent peace garden exists outside here at Davis campus near the edge of the pond, where the names of 14 women who were remembered today have been engraved into the garden's light fixtures. A peace garden also exists at the Trafalgar campus on the front lawn outside the skate building, serving as a lasting memorial to the victims. I'd now like to call on Ali Al-Shirwawi from our paralegal program to perform a reading. This piece, called Yes, I'll Stay, was written by Patrick Molichard-Chartier, a graduate of Sheridan's early childhood education program, and it eloquently describes one person's account of supporting someone in need. Ali.
Yes, I will stay. I'll hold your hand harder if it eases your mind. I will give you release from this troublesome time. We hurt together when you are battered. Hold on. I will lift you up. I will stand up when you are knocked down. I will remove the weight from your shoulders. You have carried it well. I will root you out from that spurred place and help you ditch your shame back at that place as it is devoured by flames. I will follow the tracks of your tears as if they are all I know. Your fears are my fears. It's about time we let them go. I am not here for sweet talk. I'm here for time. Time to find peace and ease of mind. Hate hurts us all. We can all heal with time. Hold on and squeeze my hand a little harder. Hold on when the rain is tumbling down and your heart is hurting. You and I will stand together. I will always be around. This you can count for certain.
Thank you, Ali. As much as today provides us with the opportunity to remember the worst tragedy on a post-secondary campus in Canadian history, It's also a time to talk about what more can be done to end violence in all its forms. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about what we've done to diminish the risks of violent acts and to create an even more inclusive and respectful environment. Security is something we take very seriously at Sheridan. As much as it can be unpleasant to practice lockdown drills, we make this an annual priority and hope that we never have to use the lessons we learn from this exercise. We've installed additional cameras and lighting, increased security patrols, renewed our commitment to the Safe Walk program, and enhanced the Sheridan mobile app to create a quick and direct link to security. But despite our best intentions, violent acts still occur. In March of this year, we created a standalone policy and response protocol that addresses sexual assault and violence. Our efforts coordinate the supports that are available to make them more visible so that information is easier to find and reporting process is clearer. We want to make sure that individuals who make complaints are believed and that their rights are protected. Our efforts equally serve to hold those who have committed an act of sexual violence accountable. As part of this process, we distributed over 3,000 pocket-sized cards that list emergency contact information for resources within Sheridan and beyond. And we have extra cards available at each of our locations today. So if you don't have one, please be sure to take one before you leave. While I'm proud of all these actions, it's never enough to put the burden on individuals to resist assault or know how to report. Violence against women is rooted in attitudes of discrimination and inequality. And that's why we must all use our voices and actions to promote gender equality and send the message that violence cannot be tolerated. Earlier this year, Sheridan launched its first ever online anonymous survey about gender and sexual diversity. Over 2,400 students and employees responded. And early in the new year, we'll be sharing a summary of the themes and findings from the survey with the Sheridan community. And going forward, the findings will inform the development of future gender and sexual diversity initiatives. They'll also help to build and sustain a culture of responsibility at Sheridan that promotes caring, consent, and respect. Under Sheridan's new Dare to Care umbrella, we've delivered bystander training to our staff in student affairs and in residence about how to safely intervene in instances where an incident may be occurring or where there may be a risk. And this training will be available to students early in the new year. We've also launched an awareness campaign about obtaining consent, part of which involved a lecture by award-winning advocate and public educator Julie Lalonde. Because you're here today, you're taking an important first step to stand up for what's right, to say, enough already, and to help stop violence against women. I'd like to issue a special challenge to all of the men at Sheridan to join me in promoting gender equality and ending violence against women and girls. Taking a stand doesn't have to be complicated. We can make a difference by being respectful towards women and girls because sexism hurts us all. Never using force, threats, or violence in our relationships. Challenging and speaking out against hurtful language, sexist jokes, or bullying. Learning about the impact of violence against women in our community. And wearing a white ribbon to show your support. If you'd like to demonstrate your commitment to building a future without violence, I encourage you to wear a white ribbon, which we have available for you today. We also have a social media campaign underway that asks our community to adopt a virtual white ribbon to show their support. So thank you all for joining us today, especially our reader, Ali, as well as our rose bearers on all of our campuses. The roses we have used today will be moved to our Peace Gardens, where they will remain for the next several days. On Sunday, December 6th, flags will be lowered to half-staff at all of our campuses in honor of the 14 women whose lives we have honored today. Our collective efforts help send a strong signal that the Sheridan community does not tolerate violence. I thank you all for coming today, and I wish you all a good day. Thank you.